Part 1 From San Francisco to London. When I was 27 years old, I worked in an office in San Francisco. I did my job well and my future was promising. I was alone in the world and I was happy. On Saturday afternoons I didn't work. I sailed my little sailboat on San Francisco Bay. One Saturday afternoon I sailed out too far. The strong afternoon wind pushed my sailboat out of the bay and into the Pacific Ocean. That night, when I had lost all hope, a small British brig saw me and took me on board. The brig was sailing to London. The voyage was long and stormy. I worked as a sailor to pay for my trip. Part 1 An Unusual Bet. When I arrived in London, my clothes were old and dirty. I had only $1 in my pocket. With this dollar I ate and slept for the first 24 hours. During the next 24 hours I didn't eat and I didn't sleep. At about 10 o'clock the following morning I went to Portland Place. I saw a child walking past holding a big pear. The child ate one small piece and then threw the pear onto the street. I stopped and looked at it. I was very hungry and I really wanted that pear, but every time I tried to get it, someone passed by and looked at me. I quickly turned in the other direction and waited for the person to pass by. I tried again and again to get that pear, but the same thing happened. I was desperate. I decided to get the pear and not to worry about the people who saw me. At that moment a gentleman opened a window behind me and said, "Come in here, please." A well-dressed servant opened the door. He took me to a beautiful room. Here two old gentlemen were sitting and discussing something important. Their breakfast was still on the table. I was very hungry and I stared at their breakfast. I want to tell the reader that the two gentlemen had made a bet several days before. I knew nothing about the bet until later. Let me tell you what happened. Part 2 An Unusual Bet. Part 2 An Unusual Bet. The two old gentlemen were brothers. For several days they argued about a very strange subject. They decided to end their argument with a bet. As the English usually do, the following was the subject of the bet. The Bank of England issued 2 banknotes of £1 million each for a public transaction with a foreign country. England used one banknote and the other remained in the bank. At this point brother A said to brother B, "If an honest and intelligent stranger arrives in London without a friend and without money except for the £1 million banknote, he will starve to death." Brother B answered, "No, I don't agree." Brother A said, "If he goes to the bank or anywhere else to change this big note, the police will put him in prison. Everyone will think he stole it." They continued arguing for days until Brother B said, "I'll bet £20,000 that the stranger will live for 30 days with the banknote, no prison." Brother A accepted the bet. He went to the bank and bought the £1 million banknote. After he returned home and prepared a letter. Then the two brothers sat by the window and waited for the right man for the bet. They saw a lot of honest faces go by, but they were not intelligent enough. Several faces were intelligent, but they were not honest. A lot of faces were honest and intelligent, but they were not poor enough. Other faces were honest, intelligent, and poor, but they were not strangers. When they saw me from the window, they thought I was the right man. They asked me questions and soon they knew my story. Finally they told me I was the right man for the bet. I asked them to explain the bet. One of the gentlemen gave me an envelope. I wanted to open it, but he said, "No, don't open it now. Wait until you are in your hotel room, then read it very carefully." I was confused and I wanted to discuss the subject with them, but they didn't. I felt hurt because I was the subject of a joke. When I left their house I looked for the pear on the street. It was gone. I was quite angry with those two gentlemen. Far from their house I opened the envelope. I saw that there was money inside. I didn't stop to read their letter. I ran to the nearest eating place. I ate and ate and ate. At last I took out the envelope with the money to pay for my meal. I looked at the banknote and almost fainted. It was a banknote worth $5 million. I was speechless. I stared at the banknote. The two gentlemen had made a big mistake. They probably wanted to give me a £1 banknote. I saw the owner of the eating place staring at the banknote too. I fell in love with her in 2 minutes, and so did she. After a while the servant introduced another guest, Mr. Lloyd Hastings. When Mr. Hastings saw me, he said, "I think I know you." "Yes, probably yes, you are the yes, I am the strange millionaire with the £1 million note in my pocket." He was the same Henry Adams of art history, culture and art history, culture and art history. He was the same Henry Adams from San Francisco 6 months ago, working in the San Francisco offices of Blake Hopkins. From Blake Hopkins in San Francisco, I remember it very well. You had a very small salary, and in the afternoons you helped me fix the papers for the gendarmerie. You helped me arrange paperwork for the Gould and Curry Mining Company. Now you're a millionaire, a celebrity here in London. London, I can't believe it either. Me Lloyd, just 3 months ago we went to the Miners' show. 3 months ago we went to the Miners' restaurant. No, it was the What Cheer restaurant. That's right, it was the What Cheer restaurant. We went there at 2 in the morning. We had a steak and coffee. That night we worked 6 long hours at the Gould and Curry Mining Company. In the Curry and Gould Mining Company papers, do you remember Henry I asked you? I wanted you to come to London with me. I wanted you to help me sell the shares in the Curry Gold Mine, but you refused, of course. I didn't want to quit my job in San Francisco, and I still think it's hard to sell shares in a Californian gold mine here in London. Shares in a California gold mine here in London. You were right, Henry, you were so right. You were right, it is impossible to sell those shares here in London. My plan has failed and I've spent all my money. I don't want to talk about it, but you have to talk about it when we leave dinner. You have to tell me what happened. I don't want to talk about it, but you have to talk about it when we leave dinner. You have to tell me what happened. Oh, can I really need to talk to a friend, said Lloyd with water in his eyes. Yes, I want to hear the whole truth. Yes, I want to hear the whole story, every word. Thank you, Henry, you are a true friend. A true friend. At that time it was time for dinner thanks to the English precedent system. It was now dinner time thanks to the English system of precedence. There was no dinner. The Duke of Shoreditch wanted to sit at the end of the table. The American ambassador did the same. The American ambassador also wanted to sit at the end of the table. We couldn't make up our minds, so there was no dinner. The English know the precedent system. They eat dinner before going out. Before going out for dinner, but foreigners don't know this and stay hungry all night. Instead, we ate a plate of sardines. The next day all London was talking about the California gold mining stocks. I stayed in my hotel and told everyone who came to see me that I knew Mr. Hastings, a very honest man. Hastings, he is a very honest man, and I know the gold mine because I lived in the gold country in California. It is a very valuable mine. Now people were interested in buying the shares. I spend every night with Portia at the American ambassador's house. We were surprised when we talked about our love and our future together. Finally the end of the month came and a bunch of rich Londoners bought the shares in the mine. I had $1 million. I had $1 million of my own in the London and County Bank and also Lloyd's. Lloyd too. It was time to meet the two old gentlemen. I dressed in my best clothes and went looking for Portia before going to see her. And I picked up Portia before going to Portland Place. Portia. And we talk about work and salary. Portia, you are so beautiful. When the two gentlemen meet you, they will tell me. When the two gentlemen meet you, they will give me any job and any salary I ask for. Remember that if we ask for a lot we will not get anything, and whatever happens to us, do not be afraid, Portia. When we arrived, the same servant opened the door for us and the two older gentlemen were having tea. The day we arrived, the same servant opened the door and there were the two old gentlemen having tea. "I am ready to give you my report, we are glad to hear it," said one of them. "Now we can decide on the bet that my brother Abel and I made. If you won for me you can have any job in the world. If you won for me you can have any job in my possession. He is the Lord and I gave it to him. I won the cry now that you are saying Abel I am saying. He survived and I lost £20,000. I can't believe it. I still have things to tell you," I said, "but it's not like that. I have more things to tell you, but it is a long story that I will tell you another time. A £200,000 certificate of deposit, it's yours, it's mine. I earned it using the ticket you lent me for a month." "I can't believe it." Portia looked at me surprised and said, "Henry, is it really your money? You didn't tell me the truth." "No, I didn't, but I know you'll forgive me." "Don't be so sure you told me a lie." "Henry dear Portia, it was just for fun. Come on now." "For fun, but wait, my gentleman said he wanted to give you the job and pay you want."